2022. Jane died by suicide, and it's devastating, as you know. So many of your Eric's House participants and friends of Eric's House are so aware of the devastation of profound and traumatic loss. And another mom said, you have to take grief yoga. You just need to come in and do grief yoga with Paul. So I have a visual aid right here. Paul Denniston is the mentor and trainer who has taken the body of research and work in the somatic healing space and really distilled it down into a beautiful grief yoga program that's accessible to all grievers and really meant for all grievers. I did Paul's course, training as a grief movement guide myself through his mentorship, and I continue to work in the mentorship group that he hosts, so that we can come every other week with our questions and develop ideas and so on with him. What's really wonderful about launching into doing a grief movement program of my own is it enables me to work with folks like myself. My little grief movement program, as it's nurturing in its infancy, is just for other bereaved moms. And we're really a community. You know, we always say we're so sorry that we have this reason to know each other, but we're so glad that we're not alone. And having a space for bereaved moms to be able to do grief movement together has been very special. So it's sort of taking what I've been doing with Paul Denniston and his work and moving it into a space where moms can be together. And it's interesting because it reminds me so much of when we had little babies and little toddlers and little preschoolers, and you would strike up a conversation at the playground and you'd compare your situation and kind of day to day with other moms. And now we're here in this new world where we're still continuing our bonds with our children who have passed on and trying to figure out how to manage day to day as grieving parents. And that camaraderie and that sense of closeness and sense of community is still so important. And it feels in a way like we're back together, connecting, and trying to figure it out together. So it's been very special.
Well, thank you very much, Rachael, for doing that work. It is really badly needed.
It's an honor, honestly. It's, it just feels like a privilege to work with other moms like myself, like yourself, who have had the worst thing possible happen and are just living every day since, trying to sort out what could help. And, it's a privilege to take a tiny bit of the pain that I experienced after losing Jane and turn it into that purpose. I feel honored every time a mom comes into our program, which is hosted right here. This is my yoga space. It's right here in my home office. So grief movement or grief yoga is a somatic practice that uses body, breath, and sound to build awareness of and expression of, and eventually integration of some of the hardest emotions that we grapple with as folks who are dealing with a lot of profound loss, which often is accompanied by tremendous trauma. So coming into working with a body-based modality, the benefit of it there is that it enables us to access intuition and information that sits well below cognition and well below the sort of thinking, analytical, processing part of our brains that in some ways ties us up. It allows us to really drop down into being much more grounded in our own experience and accessing some of the stuff that, we may be reacting to and responding to, but not sure how to allow it to kind of come up and out and leave. It's an idea that we're going to be able to use this tool, our bodies, and our breath and our sound to begin to all move towards greater healing. Let's begin with just building a little awareness. When experiencing grief, we can get so stuck and feel a lot of fear and anxiety about the future. So we're going to do some grounded breath to help us to become more present. So I just invite you to take a comfortable seated position wherever you are, if you're watching this near or far, and close your eyes and just become aware of your connection to the earth. And notice where your body is touching and grounded, either sitting on a yoga mat, or maybe you're sitting in a chair, maybe you're sitting on a sofa. Just feel yourself giving into gravity. And check in with yourself by performing a little body scan. Do you feel any emotional or physical pain? And if so, where? And just observe for a moment where that tension lives in your body and bring attention to those sensations within. If you notice any thoughts arising, you can observe them and then just return your attention to your breath. And if you're really feeling like those thoughts are knocking on you, just say, body, breathe. So let's take one more big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Beautiful. And I invite you to go ahead and open your eyes up again. And we're going to move into our torso twist again to build a little bit more awareness. So from that comfortable seated position, let's go ahead and put your left hand on your left shoulder and your right hand on your right shoulder. Bring your fingers forward towards your chest and your thumbs pointing back. Elbows raised to shoulder height if that feels comfortable. And we're just going to twist our torso from side to side. Repeating the motion without pausing, inhaling to one direction and exhaling to the other. Inhaling and exhaling. Beautiful. We'll do a few more of these. They feel so simple, but as we do this, we're actually bringing more oxygen up to our brain. We all have that grief brain that can make us feel so disconnected and discombobulated. And this simple little thing you can do at your desk, you could do sitting watching television, can really help and be nourishing and supportive for us. So check in with yourself as you're doing your torso twists and just notice if anything is coming up for you, building awareness. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and do one more little surrender piece. So we're going to be moving into our spinal flow. So staying with that comfortable seated position, just come a little bit forward on your chair and feel your feet grounded. Place your hands on your knees. Inhale and extend your chest forward. Exhale, round your spine, chin to your chest. I'll turn slightly so you can see my curves. So we're going to inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. You keep going while I just chitty chat for a moment. So, when we're carrying around our grief and our trauma, it's almost like we've got a backpack on, and that backpack is on all the time, weighing us down. So this little movement that we're doing, so simple, really gives us a chance to just put that backpack down for a second and just be yourselves. And we're just going to do that a few more times. And then come center. And let's just do one more. Our last awareness before we move on to the rest of our class that we would do when you sign up to do grief movement with me. So let's do our shoulder release. Grief can feel so tense all the time. So we're going to just really pull that tenseness in, pull that stress in, and let it go. So from our comfortable seated position on inhale, I invite you to bring both your hands to your heart in tight fists. And now lift both your shoulders all the way up to your ears. You'll notice I'm even scrunching up my face. I'm just putting in all that tension. And as you exhale, I'd like you to just go ahead and lower everything down with a ha, ha. I know I made a big scary noise. Let's do it again. Big breath in and let it out. Let's do one more. Big breath in and let it out. So just take a nice big cleansing breath and let it out. If we had time to spend together, we would move into more activities where we evolve and integrate and move all the way to the soothing connection that comes at the end of class. The body, breath, and sound, when we bring them together, allows this awareness, but also a release that's very special. We practice vocalizing, like you heard me go, huh? Because when we vocalize, we actually, on a research-based level, are letting go of stress and trauma in a way that we can't when we talk about it, and even when we, think about it. We're just letting things go in an autonomic way. So I find it pretty powerful. So I hope this is a nice little intro for you, and just want to check in. How do you feel now compared to 5 or 10 minutes ago with doing a little bit of grief movement? How do you feel, Maddie?
I feel great. I hold a lot of tension in my shoulders and my lower back. So the twists and then the upward motion and release of the shoulders really helped me. And thank you so much for offering this as a resource that not only honors Jane and is a part of her legacy, but also offers connection and unlocking of those things that might be held in the body and the emotions and feelings that can be intense. The movement helped lighten that for me. So I think that it's a really great tool for people who are grieving. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Maddie. And how do you feel, Marianne? Oh, you're muted.
I am very aware of my back. I carry a lot of my grief in my back. And, I love the analogy of the backpack, because that is really what it feels like.
Right.
But
That heaviness.
Yeah, when you do the stretch and the twist, it really opens up your spine.
It's interesting. It's such a simple movement, but just having that awareness. I know, just to kind of reflect on what you're saying, I think a lot of our energy as grievers is really rounded over. We're oftentimes really hunched over like this. I know I feel like I struggle with this. And I think what we're doing is we're protecting our heart.
Yes.
Our heart and our emotions have been so wounded. And by going down like this, carrying that backpack, we're giving ourselves a kind of armature. So we practice in our safe space, opening this up and allowing this to express itself. The other kind of fun fact that I think is interesting to note is, if we were to take our stretching over to the side and then just feel along the side body here or the side body here, oftentimes when we're flooded or overwhelmed, this is a very activated spot. If you touch it, it can feel like you're barely grazing it and it hurts, as if somebody is poking it with a needle. And my understanding on a research-based level, on a somatic practice level, is that our hormonal systems, when they reach tilt, our stress and our cortisol, our adrenaline, dump into this side body. And so as grievers and as people who are often activated by trauma and constantly re-traumatized, when we become flooded, this becomes really stiff and sore.
Yeah.
When we become flooded, we become almost used to this becoming stiff and sore. So in our grief movement practice, we have an opportunity to tune into that, so that when we're sitting and locked up, we might remember some of the tools that we have. And it's been fun as our practice has grown this summer, how we even shorthand that with each other now. We'll say, you got to shake. We might text each other a little emojis, sort of meaning, hey, you gotta do your practice, because the more we do it, the more beneficial it is.
Well, Rachel, I can't wait to take a whole class.
Oh, good. I hope you will.